All right, so we'll proceed to the the workshop. So I'm calling it 6:03 p.m. as well, 8th of August, 2023, and I call it Sport Workshop of the United Independent School District Board of Trustees to order. Again, for the record, we have to have everybody recite their names.
Gilbert Aguilar, present.
Michelle Molina, present.
Elisa Oliveros, present.
Javier Montemayor, present.
Frank Castillo, present.
Right, and my name, Ramiro Vélez III, present. So quorum is not present, but we are all here today. So agenda item 2, we did the Pledge of Allegiance. Do we have any public comments signed up for the budget workshop?
Not at this time, sir, no.
None. Agenda item 4, informational items. Item A is collaboration between Boys and Girls Club of Laredo and United Days, the after-school programs. Ms. Morales.
Good evening, Mr. Castillo, Mr. Montemayor, Ms. Oliveros, Mr. Vélez, Ms. Molina, Mr. Aguilar, Mr. Gonzalez, members of the audience, Rebecca Morales, Assistant Superintendent for Administration and Policies. We're very excited to bring to you a presentation this evening on a partnership that we're building with the Boys and Girls Club. And we do have, if I would like to call out Mr. Beckelheimer, Mr. Eads, and Mr. Lopez, who will be conducting the presentation for you on this new collaboration between UISD and the Boys and Girls Club.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Afternoon, welcome.
Mr. Eads.
Okay. Good afternoon.
Good
I'm George Beckelheimer. I'm the president of the board of directors for Boys and Girls Clubs of Laredo. Thank you for having us, Mr. Superintendent. Good to see you. There's a nationwide trend. I'm not sure how many years ago it started, but it's to roll out Boys and Girls Clubs at school sites. I think it's kind of self-evident why. It's because the bricks and mortars cost is way too significant to add clubs, even though the demand is there for the kids. We haven't built a new club in Laredo since 1994, if you can imagine, and you all know better than anybody in Texas the growth that our schools are having and the number of kids that need services like that, especially after-school care. And so we reached out to the superintendent, and we were received favorably, and now we're coming to the board to show you what we have planned for our partnership. We're starting with 2 school sites. We'll call them beta sites. We'll test it out carefully with 20-some-odd kids each school, see how that works out, and see how it works, and then how successful it is. We'll grow on those and add it to other schools if we can. In the future, we'd like to find a centralized school so that we can capture the summer club kids also. But I have Mr. Robert Eads, our new CEO, with us, and Kevin Lopez, our assistant CEO, and they're going to explain how the workshop, they'll explain how the program should work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So, again, Robert Eads, thank you for allowing us to be before you. Yeah, we're excited as well about this partnership. I got to say, the superintendent and his office was incredible, receiving us, being, willing to hear the idea and quickly embrace it. So he brought in his team, and everybody just jumped on board rather quickly. Again, as Mr. Beckelheimer said, it's an evident, self-evident why this should happen. But again, I'm not going to go through a lot of the particulars. I was told I was given like 3 minutes, and I got 86 slides. So we're going to scroll through some of this. But again, the mission, just real quick, and just to sum it, what we do is we fill in those gaps where our kids may not have those opportunities. So whether it be emotional, food, social, we fill those gaps to get those kids to the same level as other kids. And so we provide those needs. And so what we're trying to do before you all today and with UISD is to fill a need perhaps that we want to play a role to solve some of your problems. When we came to the superintendent's office, the first thing we said was, look, we're not going to add more stuff on your plate. His wife works at UIC, my wife works for UIC, so we understand there's a lot of workload already, but we're going to say we've got an idea where we may be able to take some workload off. It might not be in very significant numbers, but I think going through the process, we're going to see a lot of similarities here. So that's our mission and vision, obviously with what our kids. Since 46, as Mr. Beckelheimer mentioned, our Benavides Club has been there since 1943, actually. Was a USO for the first 3 years while the war happened. Once that ended, then it was open as a Boys and Girls Club. And so we do have the 3 sites, which is that one on Moctezuma. We've got the northwest of Boys Club on Santa Maria, and our south location, which is Lamar Bruni Vergara off Los Presidentes right next to United South. We had a lot of exciting things with those as well, but let's get to why we're here, right? That's our history, as we're talking about, over, 3/4 of a century old or young. Who we service, we do about 10,000 club members. 6 to 12 those are our kids. We don't do team programs. We don't get it overcomplicated with any other type of focused learning and assistance. We strictly focus on 6 to 12. We have the biggest sports league in the state of Texas with the Boys and Girls Club. And that number, I think it's probably a little bit higher than the 20,000, but we blow out every Boys and Girls Club in the state of Texas by far. We accept students citywide. What I will say as well, obviously private, public, schools, charters, Catholic. One thing that we do or don't do is turn away any child. And so the difference that we provide, again, where we can insert ourselves is that our membership fee, we call membership fee, is $10 per year per child for everything. And so when we happen to, sorry, I went back. So when we happen to have the summer program, which does cost families money in certain places, we still charge $10 per year per child for everything. When we have a NASA program, $10 per kid per child. It's purposeful, and we're going to keep it that way for as long as we can, and that'll be not until he leaves or I leave, because we ain't changing that $10, right? We got to keep it affordable. That's the stuff that we do. Some of the stuff you already know, so I apologize, but some of the key programs too is the after-school programs and the summer program. That's what we're going to get to right now. So what we've been seeing a lot is our neighborhoods, and again, I'm preaching to the choir here, right? But our neighborhoods are getting older. And so what we're seeing is it's tougher to compete with the schools, with the great facilities that y'all have, other school districts have as well, to have those kids driven to our sites at 2:30, 3 o'clock to stay with us till 8 o'clock. So we have to have something there so valuable that trek is being made. And we have it by the thousands. But how do we attract more kids to keep doing that? And the parents to bring them and pick them up. So we said, the smart thing to do, and this is what boys clubs across the country are doing, is partner with your schools, go to where their kids are. Go and teach the programs there that are evidence-based, that work, and that works through the whole child. It's a 360 approach where we're talking, the physicality, the emotional, the social, the physical, the entire student or member, we call them, is being tended to. So we do the education pieces, the art pieces. We just had a 2-week art course by one of our leading art groups there at Benavides. We had the San Antonio Opera that the kids saw, 60 kids. Like, I haven't seen the San Antonio Opera. I actually did now. But how else do you get the kids in front of San Antonio Opera where their parents don't have to pay a single penny extra for it? Health, life skills, again, sports, big thing for us. And what I will say to that once I come off the sports is this. I simply put it, and I've told Bill Green this over and over and over. So until we get the boys clubs from the B1 section onto the A1 section, then we're not going to be satisfied. The B1 always works, the sports section always works, but we want to be in there because we're providing these incredible programs that stimulate the kids through STEM, through art, through music, and everything else. Some of the programs that we have, all evidence-based, as we put up there, and we provided this to your staff as well, where they've reviewed these. Triple Play Plus, Texan Power Hour, Project Learn, this information is with you right now. The one that I think we've decided was the Triple Play Plus, and actually Dr. Mara joins us here. It's an award-winning program from the Aspen Institute that encompasses exactly what I've been saying, and it's the entire child that is taught in an after-school setting.
Mr. Eads, if I may, I think this program, what's important is you all are bringing a curriculum that's attached to it that is evidence-based, and I think that's really important for our students.
So exactly, and so the the binder or binders that we provide just on that Triple Play Plus is there. We have 4 professionals already hired right now, all degreed, obviously. 3 have psychology degrees. They're actually training right now at our sites to be able to be ready. We're going to have 2 individuals per site, which is more than required. We will want to, as I told the superintendent, we really want to show you that this is going to work. And so the 2 individuals would be at both sites teaching this. And mind you, too, the one thing that the superintendent asked me as well, and it's a fair question, was what's the catch? Like, why is there no fee to us, or what are you asking for, or where we're at? And I told him, to be honest, we hope to be here again next year, asking for more sites. And then asking for assistance during your budget meetings to say, does it make sense to help pay for those instructors? Because we are funding all 4 instructors, all 4 sites, all their materials, all their uniforms, and everything else, right? To make sure it's successful. So it's after school. It would be 3 o'clock to 6:30. The 2 sites that the staff had picked, the superintendent and Ms. Morales and everyone else that joined in, was San Isidro Elementary and Orange Elementary, which for us hits exactly the soft spots where we have to hit. So in the south, that is wonderful because the southmost Boys and Girls Club is Lamar Bruno Vergara, and the northmost one we have is Northwest. And so San Isidro really hits that soft spot really well. What it's going to look like if you're familiar or used to seeing like a CIS type approach, where we'd have a classroom ready for instructors to be there. They'll be showing up at 2:30, 3 o'clock, having 20 kids come in, go through the program, and have access to the gym to have a part that's a physical piece that they have within the instruction booklet for the program as well. So from us, again, the only ask for us was please allow us to show you this program. We're going to prove it out because we're very sure of it. And so the pilot program hopefully will be that, hey, so how can we roll this into more and more? We obviously need to increase our numbers and providing more services, and we want to find kids who aren't making it to the Boys and Girls Club. As you all have a very long list of parents, kids who don't have the ability to have an after-school program just because of the waiting list. Yeah. And that's how we walked in to say, look, we'll carve out a small portion of that at least and deal with that piece for you. So we're truly trying to solve a problem, a technical problem, but one that I think at the end of the day, we're serving 20 more kids. We're interacting with the school districts and UISD in particular, and one that I think can bear fruits for years and years to come. So again, the Triple Play Plus program, there's actually Dr. Mera sits there quietly, but he's one of the brain childs of the program and how it was actually even awarded through the Aspen Institute this international award. But again, this is what it does. I mean, it really is to try to get kids back into the pre-COVID mode. And because we just went through, as y'all did, summer school, but as we just had incredible numbers with summer programs, and you had what was pre-COVID type stuff, kids running around sweating and sneezing and all that craziness. Nobody's sick, but everybody was having a super good time. So we sent them back home with their parents, soaked in sweat, and happy with a smile. So that's how we send them back to their families. Again, you can read up more a little bit on that Triple Play Plus program that we're super proud of. And what we'd ask is obviously what's our legacy, what's our gift to the next generation, and the last part is let's go build great futures together. So that's our presentation. I'll be able to ask or answer any questions you may have.
I have a question.
And Kevin can maybe give you some historical narrative if you need.
Yeah, I've got a question. So I commend you for the project. It sounds really outstanding, and I'm glad that you're bringing it to United. I think we could really use it, especially at San Isidro. We have a long waiting list of parents who are looking for after-school daycare services for their kids, and it's just hard to find programs that will work with United. my question is it open only to the San Isidro school, or is this going to be something that is going to be the north side? You know, because we got Borchers and Malakoff right down the street, and I'm sure once they hear of it, it might kick off.
What we're doing, if I may, Mr. Montemayor, is we're doing a gentle rollout.
Okay.
Because we want to make sure that we have everything under control, that it's facilities that aren't ours. How do we share the facilities safely and intelligently? Right now, it's only one grade level. We'd like to be K through 5, you see. So we need to work with Ms. Morales and all of your staff to see how that would look like. So we know that we feel certain that you're correct. The demand's going to be great.
Yeah.
But we'd like to have what I guess we'd call a soft launch and just figure it out.
My other question was regarding the safety and security collaboration with our police department and our security guards.
Yes.
I note that you close at 6:30. The schools usually ends at about 3:30. Have y'all worked that system out? or-
So if I may, I think we're going to have to adjust the time to 6 o'clock, 3 to 6, so that we can, since we are servicing our after-school program students, the students that are already enrolled in our after-school programs, after-school adventures at San Isidro and our Fit for the Future at Art Elementary, we're running it through our program. So we're using our staff, our UISD staff. But I know that the time is something that we had discussed. We'd want to make sure that we keep it within the same time frame that we offer our program. So I think we're going to have to run through 6. And we do have our safety and security plan, as we do with our after-school program. So we'll have police officers and security on staff.
Okay, I just want to make sure that that's there for y'all to take
you.
advantage of.
Without a doubt. And one thing that I want to mention as well, because obviously, speaking of safety, it's the most critical thing you all do. It's the most critical thing we do, right? Make sure our kids are safe. Right now, the 4 professionals, the 2 per side, are actually, not literally right now, but they're already hired, and they've been training since the beginning of the week on the program, all things Boys and Girls Club. But not just that, we've got some very strict, as you can imagine, Boys and Girls Club background checks and everything else that we have to provide outside of everything that the school district will have a need as well. So I think there's going to be a layered effect on the professionals that are going to be stepping into your campuses. But I will say they were selected very particularly in not just their skill level, but also even the teams that are going to be working together in the different schools. They don't know each other, but now they're good friends.
I commend y'all, and if I or the board can ever be of any assistance, but this soft rollout is going to be bigger. You know, it's going to.
Yes.
People are going to want to. They're going to want to participate in this.
Well, I don't want to put the superintendent in a bad spot, right? Because then I'd have to swing back around with some dollars. But we'd always know, and honestly, we think the same, right? That we're going to be there as well. We were able to get us the budget to kind of work this out, and really we're the ones kind of holding it back a little, just with that respect. But as soon as everybody's seeing exactly the way the layout is, exactly how the pieces will fall, yeah. I mean, if we can be in every neighborhood, if we can be in every part of Laredo, we're going to be there, because that's what the Boys Club does. Boys and Girls Club.
I had a few questions myself. Regarding the number, did you say 20 students per site?
Yes,
And those 20 students, are they going to be already in an aftercare program with us, or is it a separate number? In other words, are we doing both the same student or 2 separate students?
The same students, Mr. Castillo, and the reason, again, that we chose these 2 sites, we looked at our data, we looked at our numbers, we saw that in the north, that is our highest
need.
need campus for after-school program services. In the south at Arndt, where we have our Fit for the Future program, that is the number where we had the most difficulty staffing and meeting our numbers that are required by our grant, the statute for the grant that we have. So we are going to service the same students. Now, the great thing about this partnership is that they're going to allow us to bring more students in, because they're pretty much providing the staff. And then, of course, on top of that, they're providing the program.
So they'll be immersed in our
Right.
aftercare
Yes.
program.
Exactly.
Essentially. Okay, just want to be clear on that, because
Yeah.
I'm sure parents will start letting each other know, perhaps, and I'll start getting calls. So
wonderful.
that way I have some information ready for them.
Yes, sir.
Other than that, I think that's what I wanted to ask right now. Thank you.
So I had a question. So if they're in the aftercare program, are they going to pay the fees for that program as well?
So at Arendt, it's free tuition because we have that
The
federal
grant.
grant.
Son of a grant.
But at San Isidro, it is a tuition-based
still-
program. So they're doing rotations basically with us. So it's like one of the pods. Basically, our students are still going to have the opportunity to have the services from the after-school program, homework help, and the other clubs and STEM activities and other things. That program, that triple play program that they presented to you all, that they shared, that is the program that we chose to have them assist us with.
Okay.
Because it has a lot of the social, emotional, and all of the other targets that we're trying to meet with our students. But that one, the San Isidro one, will be the tuition-based program.
Okay. And what grade level are we thinking?
I think we were going to target the upper grades, so 4th or 5th grade.
Okay.
It's going to depend on the number, so it may be different from one site to the other. Once we start enrolling students into the program, which the staff is actually currently doing that right now as we speak. Well, maybe not right now, right, Mr. Eats, but as we speak, they've been allowing students in based on the number of staff that we already have. So it may be different at San Isidro than Arendt, but we're targeting the upper grades.
And the training is it's generalized enough to be able to address those grade levels already. And so I think there's going to be a little bit of fine tuning that we may want to do if they're 4th or 5th graders. But generally speaking, the program Triple Play Plus applies across the board where it's speaking to each one of the children. Do you want to say something?
Not to catch us all off guard, but Ms. Morales, so there may be a strategy to which grade level to choose so that they have the exposure year after year and they become regular club kids for the summer. You'll just consider that, okay? Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And just real quickly, Board, for the record, our office, General Counsel, will hammer out the details in a written agreement to come
Okay.
with the Boys and Girls Club.
Gentlemen, thank you.
Item 4B is real estate sales agent pilot course. Go ahead, ma'am. Thank you.
I'm gonna go- Okay, I thought you were going to read. I'm sorry about that. Good evening, Mr. Gonzalez, Mr. Garcia, members of the board, members of the audience. My name is Angelica Sanchez. I'm the CTE director. And I bring to you information on what we're going to be offering for this coming school year. In the 23-24 academic school year, CTE will be implementing the real estate pilot course to prepare students for the real estate sales agent license exam. So the course is in its planning stages, and it will be piloted at United South High School. We are going to be targeting 12th grade students. I have a minimum of 10 and maybe a maximum of 20. We did show some student interest, and so we're working on the logistics of that right now. And the way it works is just like any community member. They were going to take their 6 courses, 30 hours each. They need 180 hours as per the Texas Real Estate Commission. We are going to offer it over a course of a year. Our semester course, if we do the 93 days or the 94 days we have at the 80 minutes, will only equate to 120 hours. So we need to go into the second semester. And that'll also help us prepare for the exam and review and give some time. The Texas Real Estate Commission requires that the student be 18 years of age. So we are going to have to find students who are going to be either turning 18 by their spring semester so that they can test for the exam. We will cover for all the expenses in terms of the course. We are going to be doing a module-based course. It's an online-based course, but it's going to be facilitated by a teacher who is a real estate license as well. And so once the students test and they successfully pass, and I'll tell you why we're doing the pilot, then we will partner with an active real estate broker to actually sponsor the student to actually activate their license. And so what's happening is TEA, every 4 years, they do what's called a program of study refresh. In CTE, we offer 26 different programs of study district-wide. And so TEA, and they're approved by TEA, we must follow what TEA dictates as far as the programs of study. So every 4 years, TEA does an analysis of the industry to determine what industries or what occupations are high skill, high demand, and high wage. And so what's coming out in this coming year, well, actually in the process, it's in its comment period, is real estate will be offered next year as a program of study for the state. So we're just jumping ahead of the game a little bit. We want to offer this real estate exam to see if this is something successful for high school students. And if the students are successful, then we're going to implement that in all the 4 high schools. Okay, so we will be offering that exam. We will cover the cost of the course. It's $480 a student. I budgeted about $15,000, so I can maybe cover about 20 kids this year. We'll cover the course. We will also cover the exam and the fees to take the course. So we will completely cover everything that is needed for that exam. So we're looking forward to that, and we're hoping this exam is successful for these students. And it's also listed on the TEA accountability list, so it is being one that is going to be offered by the state.
All right, so I know it's going to be, the criteria is pretty selective. They have to be 18 years of age
They have-
when they do the test. So more than likely, it's just going to be for seniors.
Seniors.
But are we going to allow the students to apply for this type of
Well,
program?
right now, they did just for the pilot, yeah, we're going to have to put a process in place.
Right.
It's just not going to be open enrollment because you do have to have a commitment. You do have to commit that, that whole year. We are doing that expense, just like we would do an LC class that you have to enroll. So there will be an application process. We will have to do a selection to where the students are going to be committed to. They have to have room on their schedule by senior year to make sure that they can fulfill the entire year and not, be halfway and decide, I decided not to do this anymore. So we are going to have to get committed students, and we'll work on that process. Right now, our focus is attempting this exam for these students. Over the summer, United South Administration did survey some students, and I believe they have about 25 that are interested if it fits within their schedule.
Ms. Sanchez, this is a one block, 180-hour program.
It's 2 blocks, fall and spring.
Okay.
Okay,
180 hours.
180 is what's required by the Texas Real Estate Commission, which are the principles of real estate. So we got to remember that within the course of the year, we have pep rallies, we have interruptions, so we won't make it in one semester. So,
So you
in
gotta
one
have-
block.
You got to have two blocks to.
I have to have 2 blocks.
Qualify to take this test.
Right.
And is this an elective?
It's the CT. Yeah, we're gonna actually, I have it there. I'm sorry. We're gonna code it under career prep. It is the CT course.
Okay. So
Yeah, it'll count for graduation.
it's kind of seeming like kind of a magnet style kind of program where it's
we
focused
could.
on real estate, that block.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you want to call it magnet style because it's going to be open. There's not going to be a criteria as you have to have certain grades. I
You
mean,
don't have to test or do anything to get in. You just have to have that
CTE,
criteria.
Correct. CT, it does not discriminate against any.
But you do need a test to pass the courses, correct? You do need to test to pass the courses, correct?
Yes.
And
Yeah,
this
each
is
section
all
has.
Direct certified,
Yes.
accredited courses?
Yes. Yeah, they're from all these courses that are offered. We're going to go through what's called Pioneer Real Estate. There's Champion Real Estate. There's all these real estate companies that you can go through.
Right.
We're actually going to go with Pioneer. They've been working with other districts. I don't have their success rates. I'm pending the success rates on the other districts, but they do have where they work with districts. And I like Pioneer because Pioneer gives, aside from the course, they give all the resources to the teacher. And that's what's beneficial. So aside from what the kids are doing, we want to make sure they're not doing it on their own so that we can reinforce the concepts within the class period. So the teacher is going to be in there also going over those concepts with them in the classroom.
So to clarify Ms. Molina's question, if they fail the test and they fail they don't
No,
get
they
the
can still
credits?
pay the class.
They're still going to get the
Yeah, they
credits?
still get the class. It's
Okay.
when they take the test. They might not pass the test, the actual real estate exam,
test, yeah.
the actual certification real estate exam test.
But they'd still get the credit?
Yeah, they'll still get the
It's
credit.
still state a national test after
Yeah,
you get
yes.
your hours.
Yeah.
So
But I
Pioneer-
misunderstood. I thought that that's what you were saying.
Oh,
I was
no,
like, whoa.
No. They will still pass their class, once they go over the hours and they'll get their credit and their grades for the class. But the test, that's a different
That's
story. They need to
different, yeah.
test just like we do our phlebotomies, they take the class and they test. All our exams are separate from the class. You don't fail the test and not get your credit. No, that doesn't happen.
That's good.
Good.
I have some questions.
Sure.
This credit or course does count toward high school graduation?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just want to be sure, because I heard elective and I wasn't sure.
Well, CTE are pretty much electives. That was what they're
But
under.
they
But it's
get-
not a local credit. Local credit really doesn't apply towards your 8 hours of graduation. You need a state credit, and career prep is a state credit.
And I heard you say something about them going to work after the
Well, if
complete?
they graduate, yes, sir. If they graduate and they want to practice their real estate, we are going to partner. We're going to try to get several partners within our local community. And so they're going to be working under a certain broker.
Well, I guess more direct to the point, will they be working, let's say they pass the test and they're still in high school, will they be working and coming to school at the same
No,
time?
no, they'll finish in May
They'll
and then
finish
they'll
and then-
graduate. Mhm.
Right, thank you.
Yes. Any other questions?
One more question. I know you touched a little bit on the teacher. You're saying that they're going to be a licensed broker. Is that somebody that we're
Yeah.
hiring?
No, it's from within. We're not going to, they have a teacher who is a
Those are licensed
active
already.
worker. So she has the background knowledge.
Okay.
And I think I did a little study. I think every high school has one.
And then you said the
So-
Pioneer is going to give more resources to the
Yeah,
teacher.
the Pioneer gives the
help
teacher
out.
additional resources for that.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much for the information.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 4C is Teacher Residency Program Overview with Texas A&M International University and United ISD.
Mr. Veliz, board members, Mr. Gonzalez, and members of the audience. I'm coming to you to share an innovative way of finding teachers. As you know, the pipeline has been kind of dry in some certain areas. So we partnered with Dr. Amer, the College of Education over here. So I have him behind me, so he's going to chime in a little bit. Of course, CNI has been part of the discussion as well. So let me go ahead and start with my presentation. So as you know, okay, I guess I'm doing the clicking. As you know, that as a nation, we've all been struggling to find teachers to fill our classrooms, and we're very appreciative that last year you helped us with the DOI, and that kind of really helped us this year. But we have still critical areas that we need to address. And so in collaboration with TAMU, and we're hoping the Texas Workforce Commission, and that's where Dr. Mer will come in a little later, we want to partner with them. And we'll be one of the first entities that will have this type of partnership in the United States. Am I correct? And so you've heard a lot of innovation today through CTE, and now we're going to do HR side. And we're trying to make sure that we have, for the future, that pipeline that will keep flowing into our school district. So back in 2014, the Texas Education Code, they have passed where we can start doing these residency programs. And then we saw a little bit of that highlight when we hit COVID. And so when COVID kicked in, there was this, the ESSER funds that came out, and the state kind of said, hey, we have these ESSER funds, and this is where you can put your money in. And so if you look at the middle, it says teacher pipelines. And there was a grant called T-Class. And so several school districts applied. That T-Class grant is going to end this coming year because ESSER funds end this year. So we wanted something more sustainable. And so that was a conversation that I had with Dr. Mera last year. And so we started talking. And so what we decided to do, and he assisted us, is he helped us pay for a national consultant that this is what they do. This is all they do. They form, they build, and they work with universities and schools to develop that. So the National Center for Teacher Residency is the only organization in the country dedicated to developing, launching, supporting, accelerating the impact of teacher residency programs. It's the only one. So it's beyond the state level. It's at a national level. So what better advice can we get what's going on at the national level? So we have been working with NCTR for about a year, developing our model, and they help us with as far as what their experiences have been with the other models that are out there. And there was even a conference, we couldn't go at the time, but Dr. Ameri went to Minnesota, and he went, and that's where they have all the small sodas that they build and make in Minnesota. And so the curriculum instruction department, it's a little joke.
I got it.
The curriculum instruction department set checkpoints for these residents, focusing on good teaching practices, emergent bilingual and special education strategies. So this company or this organization helps you think things through so that way your plan doesn't come short when it's time to bring these folks on board. Okay? And so we're hoping that this collaboration among the three entities, our district, TAMIU, and the Texas Workforce Solution, can help pay for some of the costs and generate opportunities. So let's talk about our plan. So the residency plan, and there's been many meetings that we've had over the years, and so the focus is going to be on the critical shortage area, and we're going to start with SPED. We cannot find enough SPED teachers, and we can find less special education aides. And so what our goal is as juniors and seniors in Dr. O'Mara's program is that we're going to visit them hopefully in September, bring them on board as a kind of like an intern almost, but for a teacher. But we're going to pick them up as a teacher aide. So while they're with the teacher, their mentor, and they're the teacher aide, they're going to be working closely together, and part of their curriculum will be a blended learning environment in our school plus their classes on the outside. And it's going to be like a paid internship with these candidates. So the focus, like I said, will be in special education. So we've had the special education department as well as the bilingual department have input as far as like what are the checkpoints, what do we want them to know. So we're going to grow them to meet what UISD is requiring. So by the time they graduate, it's almost like they've already been with us for 2 years. And that is our goal. So this blending environment and the commitment agreement that we'll have with these young men and women that will join our ranks, and they get paid through an internship or an apprenticeship, depending on how we want to call it, they'll be already with us. So by the time they graduate, they'll come to us and not other school districts, because they'll already have that commitment, and we'll be taking care of the special ed shortage. And of course, we'll move on to math and ELAR and the other subjects, but we're starting off with SPED. And so we're hoping to start in September, and I'm going to have Dr. O'Mara kind of fill in the blanks. I don't know if Ms. Lesson wants to share anything else, but we believe, and what our consultant has said, and I'll let him share, but they've been very impressed, extremely impressed, and how organized, delineated our plan is for where we're at. They wish other school districts were using our type of model. They've just been super impressed. Now they just want to see, let's see how it's executed, and let's see what the results are. So I'll have Dr. O'Mara come in, or Ms. Lessa, whoever. All right, we'll start with Dr. O'Mara. He's a popular guy today, because he's already been in 2 presentations.
Oh, there you go. Mr. Superintendent, board members, I'll be brief, respectful of time. I think there's 3 points of information you need to understand about this residency program. So as David said, the National Centre for Teacher Residency is the premier designer of residencies in the country. And they are acknowledging this program as a national best practice due to the thoughtfulness of the scope and sequence and the strength of the collaboration of the team. They've been in this business for 17 years, and they identified this as the most thoughtful and intentional residency program that they've seen to date. Number 2, I really think it's a strategic approach. This partnership and spending time together has enabled us to sit down and really understand the needs of LISD and UISD, but in the case of UISD, to the point where we know where every student comes from, what's the feeder pattern, where they're going to go back to. And so we now share that data to start to identify the strengths and the gaps in the pipeline. So I think we should be very on track for a sustainable pipeline. The third piece, as David said, is sustainability. Funding really matters. We supported this year. We're going to again support next year for the continued participation with the NCTR, because I really think it's been a great partnership. We're also working with Texas Education Agency and the Department of Labour to position UISD to access further funding. T-class is finishing, so you've probably heard about apprenticeships. You've heard about vetted residencies. We're putting applications for both, and so we should hear by September for that funding. And then finally, I think just the collaboration that's going to happen in September that David spoke about, going deeper into the pipeline. Rather than just looking at seniors and juniors, look at freshmen, sophomore and high school, the schools they came from, the vacancies that are there in terms of tutoring, after school hours. I think collectively and strategically we can make a big difference in the pipeline. So I'll stop there. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So this is what we're starting off with, is with our college students, junior seniors, but the opportunities are endless. So we're not there yet, but we want to get there. So we could have our kids that we have as high school students through the CTE, if they go through the early college, when they get selected and they take 2 additional courses in the education courses that they need, then LC will take care of that side, and then they'll jump over, because they'll already have their 60 hours, then they jump over to Dr. Amera's side, and if we use the Texas Workforce Commission, they'll be helping us pay. Think about it. Think of it from a parent perspective. We pay for all the dual credit courses. They come out already walking in as a junior. Then Texas Workforce helps us pay for their junior, senior years. So technically, we could have 22-year-old teachers that their parents may not have to pay very much for their college courses. So we're not there yet. The infrastructure is not there yet. But that will be the other possibility that we're going to try to work on to get them in our pipeline a lot sooner. I don't know if you have any questions for either three of us.
Just really short. You indicated they're going to be identified as teacher aides. So how does that kick in the health insurance? Are they going to get paid? Are they getting graded for this? But it's a paid internship. Are they going to be an employee of the district?
They're going to be an employee of the district, and they will be paid X amount of dollars. We're thinking about 20, more or less. That's about the standard. So it can be 15 to 20, depending. We're kind of hoping that Texas Workforce will kick in most of that money, but we won't know till later. And so they'll be paid as a full-time employee. They get the insurance benefits, they get all of that, but they're employees of our district.
And if you're going to be utilizing them for special ed, then the liability also, that question kind of, kicks in. They're students, they're internship, they're interns. Are they going to be executing waivers? Should something happen to them? Are they going to be doing the standard waivers that the district requires? Just all these questions are just kind of looming. I think it's a fabulous idea, by the way.
So they're first employees, but it just happens to be that we have a partnership with TAMIU that will also be embedding some of the curriculum while they're in school learning. And they'll be attached to a mentor.
Yes.
And the mentor will guide them as far as the pedagogy, and it will be in steps. So that way they don't get it all at once. So they'll be training them as they go along within the 2 years.
So
And those are the
teacher aide
checkpoints.
with an asterisk attached to it or
Yes.
something.
Yes, they're residents. And so one of the benefits is that by the time that they do graduate, they will know our scope and sequence. They will know our data systems. They will know everything that's particular to our district. So when they graduate, we are going to actually have a teacher, first-year teacher with 2 years experience. So it really has, we've developed a crosswalk between the standards of NCTR, between the standards that TAMIU has for the students, and then between our T-test standards. So we're really looking at a very good and solid alignment so that our teachers, when they graduate, they'll be with mentors throughout, but we will implement a gradual release, and by the time they graduate, they're going to graduate fully experienced with our student population, our needs, our culture, everything that United ISD provides our students.
But while the 2 years are with us, they're special education aides. I want to be really clear about that. But with that hyphen of apprenticeship, internship, residence, but they're not completely teachers, but with the blocks, they'll eventually then start taking some of the classes over as they move along.
So technically, a student could graduate in May and in August be an employee of the district?
Well, there already are employees because.
Even when they're a student, junior, senior?
Yes.
Oh,
because they're going to be
wow.
teacher aides.
That's amazing.
Yeah, they're going to be teacher aides with us while they're juniors and seniors.
Can we call them residents or something like that instead of teacher aide?
Yes, we do have
Yeah.
that. We do have that in the job description that we
Yeah.
are presenting. We have the word resident
be able
there.
to
That way there's a
because
separate the
differentiation.
identification.
they will have additional responsibilities. And another thing that we're also embedding and working with Dr. Amira is making sure that they are progressively meeting all of their state certification exams. So, we're thinking of the whole picture so that when they graduate, they are able to be employed as teachers from their residency,
When they graduate from
Tammy U.
Tammy.
from TAMU after 2 years after high school?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Well, their senior year of college.
College.
The other part I told you is the possibilities later on if we develop the infrastructure with our
Freshman, high school.
early college program, that we can get them as juniors and seniors after they graduate. But we're not there with that
Not yet, but yeah, that's
So there's
incredible.
two paths. There's a path where it's your traditional junior, seniors in college, and then the second path is through CTE and then the college, early college program, that they graduate as a senior with already their 60 hours. Hopefully those 2 college classes already built in through LC, and then they can go into his program, their junior, senior year. Yeah.
How many students are we targeting for this program?
About 5.
Okay.
We're looking at 5 because we're targeting just special ed for this go around. So we want to start small, kind of like what you heard about the Boys and Girls Club. You want to start small so you get it right the first go around where it's not a big monster, then you make bigger mistakes. You want to start small, and then that way you can grow on that the following year. And plus, this is new for kids, so we got to let them know what's coming, but we wanted to get all our planning first in place before we go and advertise.
The question I had was regarding their qualifications. They would have to meet all the criteria of a regular school district employee.
Yes, sir.
Correct? They would
Yes,
have
sir.
to go through all the necessary.
CPI training,
Checks,
everything, special ed, everything has to be included.
They would have to go through the background
fingerprints,
checks,
all the stuff that
references,
needs
you
to be
name it.
done. So they would be applying as an employee.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah. So like I said, this is a great pipeline straight from the College of Ed to UISD, and then won't go anywhere else, and we get first dibs on these kids. And so he already knows, I'm a pirate. We want all your kids.
Yep.
And right now you said it's 5, but you might pick up that number as you start increasing, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And being a student when I was in college, those blocks, you're going to get credit and you're going to be working. So that's going to motivate them.
Yes.
And then teachers can recommend, when they graduate. So I think it's a great idea.
And it builds relationship with the principals, so if they have a need, they already know who they want.
And Mr. Aguilar, that's a great point, because back in the day, I guess you'd have to work after school, and now you're working during school hours. That's a great point.
So we just wanted to share this with you about these possibilities of trying to find a way to fill our needs in the teacher workforce.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Mhm.
I want to recognize Dr. O'Mara for working with the district collaboration. Dr. O'Mara, thank you for all your dedication to us. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so agenda item 5, following items are to be reviewed by members of the board for discussion only, with recommendations for action to be made at the next regular board meeting. 5A is monthly disbursements.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mr. Vélez, members of the board, Mr. Gonzalez, Mr. Garcia. The Division of Finance presents you every month with the prior year's month's disbursements. We presented you with the month of July. I don't know if any one of you all have questions at this point.
No questions, sir. That'll be a budget amendment.
Yes, sir. On the budget amendment, we have 2 generally accepted accounting standards boards, government accounting standard board entries that we have to make into the books. They're just accounting entries. This is the year that we have to implement GASB 87, which accounts for leases, and GASB 96, which accounts for subscriptions. Before, these were considered expenditures in the accounting world, and now they, in my opinion, overthought these items, and now they want us to not expend them, but identify them as debt for the school district. So we have to make those accounting changes as according to TA's account code structure. Just an accounting entry that we're presenting to you guys.
Okay. Item 5C, submission of appraisal roll to the governing body.
Good evening, board members, Mr. Gonzalez, Mr. Garcia, members of the audience. We bring to you the 2023 certified values. We're gonna give you the 2 values. We bring you the under the current law, which is based on 40,000 homestead exemption, and we bring you the ones the values under new law based on the 100,000 homestead exemption. So they're certifying the 27 billion which is taxable value for the current law. And a new law under Senate Bill 2, which is the 25.8 billion in value.
Usually, if I may add, usually we present you with just one set of certified values, but because we're in transition of the state approving going from $40,000 in the homestead exemption to the $100,000, and then the election occurring in November, it's recommended that we present both certified values under the $40,000 exemption and the $100,000 exemption.
Because more than likely it's going to pass, so.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And both numbers were used in the preparation for the tax rate, so we're bringing you both numbers, or values.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, so 5D would be the adopting the official budget for the 2023-2024 fiscal year. Do you have anything on the budget?
Yes, sir, Mr. Velez. I apologize. Lida was not able to make it. She had a death in the family, so she's out of town today. But this budget, we presented to you in a subsection of this budget in June. It evolved to July. July, we presented you some other numbers, and now we're happy to present what we feel is probably the final budget that we're going to present to the board. Obviously, with the action taken earlier in the special called meeting, we'll incorporate these numbers. I know that there was communication sent to you all about our property and casualty, which we're going to present tonight. That increased. I had estimated about 1.5 million. It's going to be about 1.3. That's already incorporated in this budget. But we also had some good news. If you all know that we've been talking to you all about the state coming up with their tax rate. When's the state going to come up with their maximum compressed rate? Well, it finally came in, and in typical state state timing, it was at 5:30 in the evening on Thursday before these items were due. So we crunched the numbers, and we've always told you all that no matter what happens at the state level, either we're going to collect the money through taxes, or the state's going to pay us through state funding. And if something changes, we're still going to be in what we call revenue neutral. But to our surprise, under this new formula, the state is going to hold us harmless for changing the tax rate because they dropped it another 10 cents. So on the additional tax rate that we've been dropping it, the state came in and dropped theirs another 10, and you have to take the compressed rate of each of those tax rates. And we put them in our formula that's given to us by the state, and we actually gained $752,000 in revenue.
Okay.
So that property and casualty line item that we spoke to you about is kind of sort of almost being offset now with an additional $752,000 in additional revenue.
Right.
So we're still almost at that 8.5 million that we told you that we were presenting you with a deficit. It actually increased just by the difference of those numbers, because the number did not come in at 1.5 million for property casualty. It actually came in at 1.3. So there was even a little benefit there as well. So we only went up about $300,000 for that deficit that we're very comfortable with. Our ESSER funding, like we did last year, we're going to have some ESSER funding to get us through next year as well, of about 8.8 million. So yes, in theory, I guess you could say with general operating fund, it's a deficit fund budget, but bringing in the transfer from ESSER, we're able to balance the budget for next year. And we will give you the final numbers at the board meeting next week.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Flores. Appreciate the efforts from everybody.
Yes, sir.
All right, so item 5F, it's additional appraisal for the 2023-2024 school year.
Yes.
We're on 5E, I believe.
5D, that was I'm sorry, I'm skipping one. So 5E is resolution to adopt 2023 tax rate, which is, I think, what you mentioned.
Yes.
Flores?
We're bringing the resolution. We are proposing to adopt a 23 combined rate of 0.798170 cents. This resolution will be presented to you, to the full board, in our next board meeting, August 16. So this is what we're proposing to adopt.
That'll be the final tax rate, right? That's already,
Yeah, this,
I'd like to make a point of clarification as well on this item. We have to present this to the public in the newspaper, and in the newspaper, the top section shows that there is an increase. And just to clarify, that increase is to the budget, not to the tax rate. Obviously, our tax rate has dropped significantly, especially if you go back to when it used to be at $1.20, then it went to $1.02, and then it went to 80 cents. Now we're at 79 cents. So what comes out on that publication is the change in the budgeted amount, not in the change in the tax revenue. If you keep reading in the middle section, it shows that the tax rate actually drops.
What was it last year, Sam?
$1.02.
$1.02.
It dropped 23 cents.
And this year,
It's so 79 cents. 79.8170.
per $100 valuation.
Yes.
So lots of relief to taxpayers.
Yes.
Well,
And
noticeable
plus the
relief, huh?
100,000.
Noticeable.
The 100,000
Homestead tax.
exemption.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Very good, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item 5F, additional appraisals for 2023-2024 school year.
Good evening, Mr.
Carlos.
Veliz, board members, and Mr. Gonzalez, and members of the audience. We're providing you additional appraisers for our recommendation for next board meeting to approve them, so that way they can go ahead and provide the T-test evaluations that they need to take care of with their teachers. These are just additional. We may have a couple more, because we're hiring some other assistants for next go-around, but these are the ones we have as of today.
Okay, appreciate it, seeing them there. 5G, awarding bids, proposals, and qualifications.
Good evening,
Good evening.
board members, superintendent, and staff. We have the following for your consideration. RFP 007-2023 Charter Bus Services to the vendors listed. RFP 009-2023 Groceries, General Merchandise, and Digital Printouts to the vendors listed. RFP 011-2023 Safety Footwear to Safety Shoe Distributors LLP. RFP 028-2023 Repair and Services for District-wide White Fleet to the vendors listed. RFP 029-2023 Band Equipment to the vendors listed. RFP 036-2023 Athletic Equipment and Supplies to the vendors listed. RFP 044-2023 Teacher State Certification Support Program to Versadid Inc., DBA Teach Us Texas. RFP 025-2023 Investment Advisor Services to Valley View Consulting LLC. RFP 039-2023 HVAC Labor and Materials to Sunbelt Air Conditioning and Train Commercial Systems. RFP 043-2023 Language Development Curriculum Program to Right Brain. RFP 024-2023 Marachi Uniforms, Equipment, Supplies, and Sheet Music to the vendors listed. RFP 042-2023 Inspection, Testing, and Maintenance for Fire Hydrants to Allied Fire Protection. And then we also have 31 renewals for your consideration. Are there any questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, so item 5H, it's approval of award of property and casualty insurance renewal.
Yes, sir, Mr. Veliz, this is the item I spoke to you about during the budget item. We have Carlisle Insurance, they came in and gave us a quote. We anticipated a growth because we had all our buildings revalued this past year. And so that increase in the rebuild cost of most of our buildings and the insurance that we have for our white fleet and other omissions that we have that we insure ourselves for, it went up from 4-point-something million to the 5.4 million, which is that $1.3 million that I told you that we experienced the increase on, but it is reflective in the budget numbers that we presented to you.
Okay, so this is where, is it taking into consideration like new buildings, new sites that we have, and obviously
Everything
new
that we own as of
equipment,
today that's on the books, yes.
I think across the board, everywhere, insurance has gone up.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay, all right. Next item is 5I, interlocal agreement and memorandum of understanding between Webb County Juvenile Board Justice Alternative Education Program, JJAEP, and UIC for the 2023-2024 school year.
Good evening, honorable board members, Mr. Gonzalez, Mr. Garcia. Annette Perez, Director for Discipline Management. We bring to you this evening the Memorandum of Understanding with United ISD and JJAP, which provides educational services to our expelled students. There aren't any significant changes. We just added some wording with regards to special ed students. We added some descriptors such as IDEA or Section 504, and we clarified the JJAP does follow the Laredo ISD academic calendar, and they wanted that noted in our MOU. And those are the only two changes that we have other than the school year. Any questions?
Quick question for me. I'm not sure if you have the information, but how many students did we send to JJAP last year?
Off the top of my head, I'm thinking about 60 to 70 students that were expelled. Some were mandatory expulsions, which are required by state law, and some are discretionary expulsions.
Are the majority mandatory?
I would say it's a balance between the two. And we have those felony drug offenses, which are required by law for us to send whenever a child is arrested or receives a felony level drug offense. That is mandatory. And then we did have some Title V off-campus incidents that involved some sort of aggression outside of school, and the school district administrators decided to go ahead and place at the JJAP versus our STEP Academy. Those are typically the types of violations which administrators decide to expel for.
They're normally more severe, Ms. Perez, right?
Excuse me?
They're normally the ones more severe.
Exactly.
So-
When we're looking at violent behavior.
So who collects the ADA on that? Is it UISD or the county?
The county collects the ADA on that, and we pay, and this is what's in the MOU, we pay a daily rate per child that is expelled for a discretionary expulsion.
For discretionary?
For discretionary only. Mandatory, they get funding from the Office of Juvenile Justice Department. They get that funding directly from them, and they do receive some additional funding. We do have various support services that we provide. I know our information technology or educational technology department helps out a lot. And we do have some of our staffing from the curriculum and instruction department that also helps. We occasionally rotate a counselor and a nurse to go check on our students. And at the beginning of the year, we'll have our counseling department ensure that children are enrolled in the courses they need for graduation. So we have a lot of information in here on different services that we help them out. Most importantly, there are our children, and we want to make sure that once they finish their expulsion term, they come back and they're right on track to graduate as needed, and that they're receiving the services they need to, be to reintegrate into our school system in a successful manner.
Yeah, that's information I'd be interested in having. I'm sure you don't have it here today, but I'd be interested in knowing the successes. What percentage are we at successes? And then also how many we lose to maybe, I don't know if legally they can withdraw from the public school system and go into an alternative school versus having to be enrolled at JJAEP.
Most of our charter schools in our community will require a student to finish their expulsion or placement term before they enroll. That is the requirement at most of our private or charter schools in Laredo.
Yeah, so maybe next year. This time next year, you could give us like successes or lack of. Maybe we need to improve somehow.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Miss, I had a question, I'm sorry, Ms. Perez. Whenever they're in our schools, the students have, a Google Pad or iPad to take with them to home?
They have a Chromebook, and United ISD has issued Chromebooks to JJAP. In fact, this school year, we set aside some funding should they need to replace their Chromebooks so that our children can have access to updated modern equipment. We have that available for them this coming school year.
Okay, you answered my question. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And if I could also add that we've collaborated with the county to be able to do some infrastructure, internet access, and some other things that we've collaborated with them as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
5J is renewal of interlocal agreement between UISD and Communities in School, Inc., CIS.
Good evening once again, Rebecca Morales for the record. We bring to you possible renewal to be taken action on next week. At the regular board meeting, we want to renew our interlocal agreement with Communities in Schools, CIS. There are no changes to our plan. We were hoping and had been in communication with Ms. Gloria Rendon, the Executive Director for Communities in Schools, hoping to add at least one more campus this year to receive a staff member from CIS and program services. But at this time, I know they're also struggling with funding from the federal government. So at this time, we have no changes. We're just hoping that you approve the renewal of this agreement.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ma'am. Item 5K, second and final reading of TASB Update 121, local policies.
Yes, so we're bringing to you the second and final reading. We presented to you last month the first reading of the local policies under TASB Update 121, and we have not made any changes to what was presented to you last month.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 5L, sale disposition of salvage computer equipment.
Good evening, Mr. Bellis, members of the board, Mr. Gonzalez, members of the audience. At this time, we bring before you for your consideration the proposed sale or disposition of the attached computer equipment that is considered salvage as per the list attached and to be disposed of as per the resolution.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alcala. So are you planning another an auction then? Or is
Yes,
that-
sir. The plan is, with your approval, to conduct an online auction.
There was a lot of equipment, right? This time
Yes,
around,
sir.
I saw there was.
It's all been deemed obsolete by the technology department.
But most of this equipment is still usable equipment. Obviously, probably not with our programs or with what we have, but let's say we auction it off, it's still
Yeah, a lot
good
of
equipment.
most of the equipment, Mr. Bellis, is not usable because we're not able to upgrade our security or our antivirus, all of that. And we actually, I don't want to use the term cannibalize. We take out a lot of the components. Hard drives are destroyed. I would make sure that all the data is properly destroyed. What they're interested in is mainly on the metal and the screens. That's really what sells, you know.
Okay. Understand. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Item 5M, request from board members in reference to use of board discretionary funds for various projects and campuses.
Mr. Velis, members of the board, Mr. Gonzalez, at this time, there are no additional requests submitted, so whatever is in your packet is what we're asking for approval.
All right. Thank you. 5N, resolution designating district non-business days from September 1st, 2023, August 31st, 2024, in accordance with Texas Bill 3033, effective September 1st, 2023.
Yes, trustees, on this one, this is a resolution that we're recommending from the Office of General Counsel due to the change in law that requires the district to designate non-business days for the calendar year. This law doesn't take effect until September 1st, so we felt this was the appropriate time to do so. And I believe the days and the resolution is listed on the next page, the one that we are proposing.
Right, yeah, they're there. All right, thank you very much. So with that, it's agenda item 6, it's adjournment. We have motion to adjourn the workshop. Motion.
Second.
And the second time is no discussion. All those in favor, aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion passes. Time is 7:11. We are adjourned. Thank you very much. Good
Thank you.
evening.